We have Professor Deepak Kumar, who is Honorary Professor of Department of History. Please join on dais, sir. I also request Professor Rafiullah Azmi to join on the dais. We'll be having Dr. G.C. Pal, Director of IIDS. They are joining, they are on the way. They'll be joining because of Delhi lockdown. They were not able to visit last night. We will be having Professor S.K. Ishtiaq Ahmed Sahab, Registrar of MANUU, sooner on the dais. We do have with us Professor Imtiaz Hasnain Sahab, who is Azad Chair of Maulana Azad National Urdu University. Please join on the dais, sir. Now we have Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed Sahab on the dais. To begin this program, I also request Dr. J.C. Pal to come on the dais. Dr. Pal. He is Director of Indian Institute of Dalit Studies. To begin this program, may I request my friend and colleague Dr. Atif Imran to recite a short verses from Quran. Dr. Atif Imran, Assistant Professor of Islamic Studies.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you, Dr. Atif. On behalf of the Center for the Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy and Department of Economic, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, and Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, New Delhi, along with Rosa Luxembourg, Stiftung, South Asia. I welcome all the participants, all the delegates who have come from across the country for this 3 days research methodology workshop on measuring social exclusion, discrimination, and inequality, which is a very, very important topic and area of contemporary Indian society. I also welcome all the senior professors and teachers of the university, Professor Ali Masraf Jaisi Sahab, Professor Saneem Fatima. We do have Dr. Vinod Mishra, Dr. Khalid Khan, Professor Muhammad Habib, Professor Danis Moin, and all the dignitaries, Professor Siddiqui Muhammad Mahmood, OSD of Maulana Azad National Urdu University, for this workshop. It is indeed a pleasure to have the guests on the dais who have agreed and given their valuable time to inaugurate this program. Generally and typically, research methodology workshop will not have a large audience except those who participate, except those who have registered for the program. But we do have today a large number of other colleagues and dignitaries joining this, and to encourage the students that this area of research is very important in social sciences and humanities. Friends, this program is in collaboration and you can say jointly organized by Indian Institute of Dalit Studies and Rosa Luxembourg Stiftung. Usually, IIDS and their collaborators does an annual 1 week or 3 days research methodology workshop on measuring discrimination and inequality. In that line, this was conceived, and a year back when these collaborators discussed with us, we were very happy to welcome them, and we thought that we'll be having at MANUU. And what can be better department or center than Center for the Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy to host and organize in this campus that works primarily in the area of discrimination and inequality. So this is an apt program for all young researchers doing and working in this area. MANUU has always been a very important institution in terms of providing inclusive and very equal platform to everyone who wants to do justice to their research. And in that directions, and to keep that inclusive research, this workshop is very important to us. I am here primarily because I also work in the area of inclusion and inclusive policies and locating the discrimination in social sciences. We will be having this 3 days program, very intensive, very rigorous for the participants, and it will be more engaging with the people who have been working for a long time in, working on exclusion and discriminations, but primarily understanding methodological perspective, primarily understanding methods of doing research, not really on the discriminations. And that is the importance of this workshop. So without taking much time, I wholeheartedly thank and welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Syed Ainul Hasan Sahab, for giving his valuable time and agreeing not to host and organize this program, but also being part of this 3 days workshop. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your valuable time. I also welcome Professor Deepak Kumar, who is honorary professor in the Department of History at Maulana Azad National Urdu University, and all of you know he retired from Jawaharlal Nehru University in the Department of History. We do have with us, and I welcome our Registrar, Professor S.K. Ishtiaq Ahmed Sahab, for this inaugural session as guest of honor. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your valuable time. Now, to welcome everyone, officially I request Professor Rafiullah Azmi Sahab, Director for the Center for the Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy, to formally welcome all the dignitaries and participants. Professor Rafiullah Azmi Sahab. And since most of the participants are from across the country and unknown to the university, I request Javed to quickly run the University Tarana.
मदरसा मेरा वतन है,
तालीम का मौसम है, तहजीब की फसलें हैं, हम रोशनी करते हैं, सूरज की नस्लें हैं।
उर्दू की उड़े खुशबू,
ये जामिया है ज़बान उर्दू, ये जामिया है ज़बान उर्दू, ये जामिया है ज़बान उर्दू, ये जामिया।
जो दाना गुजरे दिन इस ज़मीं से, जो दाना गुजरे दिन इस ज़मीं से, वो इल्म के बीज बो गए हैं। बड़े हुए जब पौधे बढ़ के, हमारे कद ऊंचे हो गए हैं। हम
चांद की पेशानी जब छू के निकलते हैं कायनात में है पाँव और मार्स पे चलते हैं
उर्दू की उड़े खुशबू
ये जामिया है ज़बान उर्दू 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 का आशियाँ है।
अब मैं रफ़ीउल्लाह आज़मी साहब से गुजारिश करता हूँ कि फॉर्मली तमाम लोगों को वेलकम करें।
Thank you, Dr. Zia. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sayyid Ainul Hasan Sahab, keynote speaker of the day for the program, Professor Deepak Kumar Sahab, Registrar of Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Professor Sheikh Ishtiaq Ahmed Sahab, डाइस पे बैठे प्रोफेसर इम्तियाज़ हसनैन साहब, जो कि हमारी किस्मती थी कि खुशकिस्मती है कि वो इत्तेफाक से आ गए, अगर तो शेड्यूल पहले से नहीं पाया था। और माय esteemed guest from IIDS, Institute for Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, Dr. D.C. Pal Sahab, my colleague Dr. Ziauddin, Dean Students Welfare, Professor Ali Mashraf Jaisi Sahab, Madam Saneem Fatma Sahiba, Professor Siddiqui Mahmood Sahab, OSD 1, Pro Danish Moin Sahab, Pro Habib Sahab, Mushtaq Patel Sahab, other young faculty members from the MANUU, professors, and my other guest from Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, Dr. Khalid Khan, Dr. Vinod Mishra, and my friend from Rosa Luxembourg Foundation, Dr. Tawqis Sabri Sahab, participants from all over India who are really the main component of this program, who have come from almost around over a dozen states of India, representing various universities, and also our student from MANUU. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to all of you. It is my indeed pleasure and honor for me to welcome you to this three-day research methodology workshop, which is being organized by the Center for the Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy in joint partnership with the Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, New Delhi, and also supported by Rosa Luxembourg Foundation based in Delhi, South Asian branch, though it is Rosa Luxembourg, as we know, is from Germany Foundation, Germany. Khush Amdeed once again to all of you for sparing your valuable time to be part of this program. I'm indeed very, extend my hearty welcome to all of you. I wish to briefly say a few words about the center, which is organizing my center, Center for the Study of Social Inclusion, Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy, that is CSEP. When our beloved Vice Chancellor, Professor Sayyid Ainul Hasan Sahab, asked me to take over the responsibilities of the center in the mid of July, I was wondering that what is the relevance of the center, because I was not having any idea about the center, because my area of study has been different. I've been studying Iran, Turan, Arab worlds in my own context. But when I assumed the responsibilities and I tried to explore and see the things, I found the center is very relevant in even contemporary context. And I've also seen that center, since its inception during the last 12 to 15 years, has performed very well. It has published various books in the context of exclusion and inclusion, which is challenge of the day, in order to create a fair society and harmonious relationship. We must try to take all the section of the societies. So the center is working in these directions. And also, it has adopted 2 villages in the Telangana state to create awareness about their social rights and entitlement, because many of the people are not aware about the schemes launched by the state and central governments. So center has endeavored to create a kind of awareness about this, and it has also compiled monograph related to that. So that way center has been working. Center was having a very vibrant faculty here, but for the last few years, somehow most of the faculties have moved to other departments for a variety of reasons. So during the last few years, there was a somewhat less activities at the center. But I believe this research methodology workshop is a beginning of the center, and we have already planned 3-4 other events. On the 20th September, we are going to have a special lecture by the Special Home Secretary, Telangana government. He will be speaking on governance and role of smart policing. And then by mid-October, we have already planned. I'm working on that. I've already talked to leading NGO. Hopefully, we'll be having in the mid of October a national seminar on the issues of exploration of the politics, exclusion and inclusion, and what kind of things could be done. So basically, and after that, I'm already applying for this 10-day research methodology workshop with the support of the ICSR, hopefully, which will be having another 10-day research methodology workshop by the end of November. These are the things in the pipeline. So, as I was trying to say that India has moved very rapidly since the liberalization of the economy. Our economy has jumped a lot. It has become 5th largest economy. Cake size of the cake has grown, but unfortunately there is a vast inequalities. Inequalities have increased. There are many studies which suggest that there has been increase in inequalities. So that will be, in that context, the relevance of the center is very important. And center is trying to act some kind of advocacy group, resource center, a kind of documentation center. So we'll try to revive this center in that context, hopefully. Having said this, I once again would like to formally welcome to all of you, particularly my hearty welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Syed Ainul Hasan Sahab. I am beholden to him that he has agreed to grace this occasion despite all kind of very busy schedule. And I'm also thankful to him, sir, to you, sir, that you have given lot of encouragement and support to this, to facilitate organization of this center. So my heartfelt thanks to you, sir, for giving support, encouragement, and helping us that way. It is indeed honor for us that you have agreed and you have given time to be with us. Without your support, this kind of activities we will not be able to hold and continue this. I would like to formally welcome the keynote speaker of this inaugural program, Professor Deepak Kumar, who is an eminent historian and very well respected in the field of academia, and he has agreed, despite his not able to keep good health in recent days and various engagements. So despite these problems, he kindly agreed at a very short notice, because this research methodology workshop was planned at very short notice in about 20 days back when I took the charge of this CSEP. This came into and we quickly grabbed it. So I think there would have been no better person to speak, to give a keynote address than Professor Deepak Kumar sir, because he is one of the most acclaimed historian in the contemporary time, who has been working on the Indian knowledge systems and its intersections with the colonial British Raj, how it coalesced, how it interacted, and what kind of impact it has on the Indian knowledge systems. He has published a lot. All the leading international publishers has published his book, including Oxford University Press, Cambridge University, and Sage, and he has published with all the leading international publishers. And besides he being very eminent persons in academia, I also decided to choose him because he is the most accessible person, very positive outlook, very simple person, very charismatic person. Whoever met him for the first time, he or she has to fall in love with him. And I had the opportunity to meet him for the first time about a year back in my intro panel when I joined MANUU. Before that, I was not knowing, though we were both part of the Jawaharlal Nehru University. He was teaching there, but I was a student there, but I couldn't meet, unfortunately, him there. But since I met him, I really became his bhakt in the true sense, not in contemporary times. So I request all of you to give a big applause to Professor Deepak Kumar sir. Thank you very much for agreeing to deliver this keynote address. I would now welcome Registrar of the University, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Professor Sheikh Ishtiaq Ahmad Sahab, who has been Professor of Persian Language and Literature at the Jawaharlal Nehru University and serving here as a Registrar at MANUU. I sincerely welcome you, sir. I know the kind of your business and schedule, the kind of responsibilities at your shoulder, and I've seen that how busy you are. Despite this fact that you have been able to spare your time, very valuable time, and to be part of this. So for this, I am really beholden to you, sir, and I'm thankful to you. Besides this, he has been always very positive, helping and cooperative. I put up this proposal when I was in Delhi, sitting there through email and all that. He agreed and he facilitated all kind of correspondence. So I'm really thankful to him. Secondly, I wish to thank you, sir, for your concern? Okay. Okay. So, thank you for all these efforts. And then I welcome Professor Imtiaz Ahmed Saab, who is with us today. He is very eminent sociologist and linguist, and he has been also working on similar thing. I welcome you to this program, sir. I welcome to Dr. D.C. Paul and also I'm thankful to him for agreeing to be partner with this research methodology workshop. And I am indeed thankful to you, sir, for choosing us as a partner for this research methodology workshop. Very important. With these words, once again, I thank you to all of you, and I think Dr. Zia will take care of this. Thank you, sir. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Professor Rafiullah Azmi. Now I would request Dr. Govind Sipal, Director of Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, to briefly share about the workshop and its intention. Dr. Pal.
Good morning, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Registrar, and the keynote speaker. Happens to be my elder brother, my mentor, and so he calls me my brother-in-law because, and he will explain, Professor Deepak Kumar, sir, we are together since long. And dignitaries on dais, faculty members, young scholars, and the participants. I have given the task of introducing. Before that, let me just extend my gratitude to the Vice Chancellor providing this opportunity just to have a collaborative event, academic event with MANUU. And I also extend my thanks to Professor Azmi, Dr. Jia, and Madam Fatima Madam, who actually took initiative. Now it has happened because of their efforts. Within short span of time it has happened. Because only last 1 month we have taken this initiative, and now we are now together. And I also especially thanks to the RLS, Rosenberg, whose support actually made this happen. And let me tell, because now I breathe freshly, because last 3 days we are locked down, and we have escaped from the security in the midnight. And last 3 days, and I am very happy to be here, and I am feeling very fresh. And I think that this workshop will be very committed to this workshop. And before I say that, because you know they are unlike many methodology workshops, you might have come as a workshop, as Professor Azim sir told, because ICSR is sponsoring this methodology workshop widely, and it has been happening, regularly it is happening. But this workshop of IIDS has been an annual feature. Annual feature, it does not mean that someone is supporting and we are keeping on doing. No. This capacity in IIDS, capacity building or dissemination of research outcomes are inbuilt to the research agenda, structure of the research agenda. Whatever we do, it is our principle, our philosophy, just to extend whatever possible way, just to disseminate, to reach out to the other people. So same way also the methodology, because we have evolved the methodology. Let me tell you, because we have evolved the methodology, we want to disseminate. But this is learning has been two-way process. When IIDS began, around 2003, hardly there was any framework, conceptual framework, theoretical framework, even the methodology, just to measure or to conceptualize what is the exclusion, what is the discrimination. Inequality widely has been discussed by the economists. But question is that if you talk of inequality without exclusion, discrimination, even the marginalization, I think it is very difficult to understand why inequality is happening. At that time, we depended upon this Western knowledge frameworks. We try to borrow. And I will tell you that early phase, all our research work has been very collaborative in nature. From the Western scholars from many countries have been part of our research, and we learned. Why? Because they have been doing on the race and other identities, how inequality exists, persists, and also how this exclusion and other marginalization is happening to a specific group because of their identities. And we learned a lot. And gradually we evolve our own methodology to understand social identity existing in this Indian context, like caste, religion, even the tribes, ethnicity, gender, even this other groups, persons with disabilities. We try to evolve. We started with the caste, 3-4 years, how to understand the inequality, exclusion, discrimination, and marginalization among the caste groups. That took 3-4 years just to work on this caste. And we evolve our own framework, conceptual framework, and a methodological approach, evolve some methodological approach. I will tell you because it is not the traditional approach which will help you to just understand the exclusion and discrimination. And we try to borrow and try to extend here, try to use it here in the Indian context. And after having this framework, we try to extend to these ethnic groups, tribal groups, physical disability, and other things. So I am telling the learning has been a process. We learn from other outside, and we try to change it, modify it, and just to contextualize in Indian context and see how this methodological and conceptual frameworks could be applicable to these groups, social identities, which actually have been the core of to this inequality and exclusions. So in that way, learning has been a process. This enabled actually to start with a thought because of our this governing bodies and our even this who are the mentors. They told me, you learn something from others, you evolve something from yours. But there are 35 exclusion centers that time we are emerging. You might be knowing that this is one of the center actually, early 2010. And then we decided, okay, let us start with disseminate whatever we have learned, whatever we evolved, the frameworks, first of all with all the exclusion centers. We started our methodology course in the beginning years with all these 35 social exclusion centers, then 14 Ambedkar centers. And it is not that students, we focus on the students, both young faculties. When these new institutions, new centers actually came off, there are young faculties, we try to bring them because we thought once we bring these faculties, and I think it will transfer to the students. But gradually we try to cover up, I'm very proud of, we try to cover up almost all the faculty members at 35 social exclusion centers and being the students. And then we are trying to extend to this beyond the social exclusion centers. You know that many social exclusion centers are now just struggling to exist. So now we have extended that because why we have done this, extended it, because in social science, if you see in discourse of social science, this has not given much importance. This has not been find a fair space. Social exclusion, discrimination, understanding. Even you go to the sociology, even anthropology and economics, and they are just touching upon these issues, but it has not been extensively studied. So we try to just capacity building this program, we have tried to extend to others. And I will tell you that in 2015, I think we had an opportunity to have a workshop at that time with the social exclusion center. Now this is this, after 7 years, we have the second time. We are very fortunate actually to have this after 7 years. And one thing I will tell you, because we have been associated with many universities. We never do our own because we are trying to capacity building programs in association with other universities, other centers. I will tell names, few Bangalore and like the law universities, even this other universities in Delhi, and also we had this Hyderabad University. So now the MANUU has been second chance we are. And having this IADS MANUU having similar visions of on the so far this question of marginalization, exclusion is concerned, I think this type of collaboration will just strengthen our association for the time to come. And now let me take 5 minutes just to introduce actually methodology. 5 minutes? Yeah, because when you talk of this, why you are talking of inequality, exclusion, discrimination simultaneously? Sir told that inequality exists. Inequality exists despite several initiatives to bridge that inequality gap. But now this it is realized, even whatever the policy measures are there, whatever these legislative measures are there, that may not be enough to understand why this inequality exists or inequality continues. So we have to focus on the exclusion, because the exclusion happens, discrimination happens at societal levels. When you talk of this policy or legislation, we always talk at the structural level, different levels, or the government levels. But it exists, and that exclusion and discrimination sometimes have been the important factor for this inequality to persist. So you can't separate it, inequality, exclusion and discrimination. So that is why the methodology has been the focus measuring social exclusion, discrimination, inequality, and we will see how it is cyclic way Inequality leads to the exclusion and discrimination leads to the inequality. That has been the motto of actually to understand the cyclic relation between three concepts, to see that. And this methodology course, because we will just sharing this major findings of this IIDS, some of my colleagues will just not talk about what is methodology like traditional approach, rather than taking quantitative approach. It will be quantitative approach, how will you measure the inequality through quantitative approach. Exclusion it happens at the structural level, behavioral level, relational level, even the institutional levels. Question is how will you measure? Inequalities, disparities is visible, very explicit, but this exclusion happens at the group level, individual level, sometimes an implicit, even symbolically. It is very difficult to measure this exclusion and discrimination. But we have evolved some methodological frameworks we will share. We have hired this, we have just other resource persons who will specifically focus on this gender issues, discrimination in higher education, but there will be traditional and advanced methodological discourse in this 3 days course. I think with this I will just stop here, and I am just hoping that these 3 days will be very productive and meaningful, and these participants, young participants, will be more active just to learn and to come forward and ask the question to the resource person, see that something you take meaningful in this, to have any implication in your research in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pal. Now I respectfully wish to invite Professor Imtiaz Hasnain for briefly share his thoughts about this workshop. Professor Imtiaz Hasnain, who is Azad Chair at Maulana Azad National Urdu University.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to all of you. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Syed Muhammad Anul Hassan Sahib, Professor Deepak Kumar, the chief guest and the keynote speaker, Professor Ishtiaq Sahib, who is not just a registrar but quite academically involved in many of the academic activities that are carried out in the university, Dr. Pal from Delhi IIDS, and Dr. Khwaja Ziauddin Sahib, distinguished guests, honorable deans, chairpersons, dear students, and research scholars. This is a very impromptu arrangement that was made, and I have been asked to take up the responsibility of two things at the same time. One was to occupy the chair, and once I did that, I had to pay a price for that, to also address you for the time being. So I'm doing that by virtue of being sitting on the dais. I'm a sociolinguist. My field of specialization has been an interface that people as speakers of language encounter on account of the discriminations and prejudices and certain stereotypes and myths that are associated with language, and how much those stereotypes and myths, they come in the way of evaluating the other, and they come in such a strong way that invariably we come across a very prominent phenomenon of othering that goes on in the society, where others are othered, further othered. And what causes the othering is not your socio-economic class, is not the privileged position that you may be holding in a society, but an account of language. It is the language that you speak. That language is also conveying the identity of yours. And that is a cause or a source of discrimination. I'll not take much time, but I'll just share with you two of the experiences that I have personally encountered while doing my empirical studies, one in the Uttar Pradesh area and the other in Nandurbar area of Maharashtra, which is a border where two tribes share with each other. One is a Bhil tribe and the other is a Pawadi tribe. So let me share something with regard to linguistic exclusion and inclusion, causing discrimination. In Western UP, the district which has flourished in way back because of the Green Revolution, a team of anthropological linguistics and anthropology in exclusive terms, they visited from Cornell University in 54 and 57, and they carried out a wonderful work there. That was a remarkable work because for the first time in the history of language study, that we were able to correlate between language and caste. There was never such correlation that the language and caste is there and a person's identity is established on the basis of the language that he speaks. And that is correlating with the caste to which he belongs. And that place is a Khalapatti, which is about 20 kilometers away from Deoband. That's the place where the study was carried out. And I, along with a team from Deccan College, Pune, we decided to revisit the same place 50 years after that work, in the same place where the work was carried out. And a very mega project that we carried out is sponsored by the Indian Council of Social Sciences Research and the UGC together. And we found out that a place called Khalapatti, the entire demographic distribution was such that there were just 5% Brahmins, 70% Rajputs, 5% Muslims, and the remaining were all, at that time they called them as Shudras, which is a politically incorrect term today. And what we discovered that the reports of the earlier study, which clearly said that the people belonging to that scheduled tribe group, scheduled caste group, were not even allowed to come closer to the people who are from the higher caste. And there were 32 castes at that time, at that point of time when they carried out the study. When we did, it was 29. And we were able to identify 29 castes on the basis of 29 languages that spoke, and the discrimination that was going on in terms of how they were not allowed to engage themselves in the family social organizations that take place. Till the time when the political landscape of UP changed and when the consecutive chief ministers came from the backward classes, backward communities, these people were empowered economically, but socially, and they were still excluded from the participation at a larger social level. That was the discrimination that I have found in my own studies. And the second part that I found was with regard to those Pawadi and Bhili tribes. You know, language has a lot of similar sounding words, which may sound something in one language, and it may sound something in another language. And we discovered that the Pawadi, the Bhili tribes, though demographically very strong, but they were studying in a school, and a tribal child studying in a mainstream school where Marathi is spoken, the teacher asks him, "What do you eat? What do you say for food at home?" He says, "Dog." No, he said dog. The dog is not your DOG dog. The dog in that particular tribal language is a food. But that was a cause of laughter and rebuke for the entire school children, that look, he eats dog. And that had created a kind of a psychological havoc on the mental makeup of a child, which is so invisible that you cannot really understand because it is not tangible. It is intangible. And this linguistic injustices that are heaped on the people of the marginalized groups are so intangible that they go unnoticed. And this is where we observed. And one of the consequences of such kind of insult heaped on those communities which are linguistically marginalized is what we call in linguistics as a linguicide. It's like a suicide. They are suffering from linguicide because they are giving up their own language. And that has been a greatest cause of the United Nations, because they said that we must identify the parameters, what you're talking about, the measuring the social exclusions. They evolved the measuring of linguistic exclusions and discriminations on the basis of certain parameters, the parameters which had one strong parameter of intergenerational loss of languages, where grandparents would use, parents would less use it, and today's generation would least use it. And the disappearance of the proverbs and idioms. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity and sharing some of my thoughts with you all. Thank you.
Sir, that was an excellent instances and experiences of social exclusion, and to understand how exclusion may happen without noticing in the society. Now, without taking much time, now I would kindly request to the Registrar of the University, Professor S.K. Ishtiaq Ahmed Sahab, to share his thoughts for the session. Now I request Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed Sahab to share his thoughts about this workshop.
Assalamu alaikum. With the permission of the chair, our respected Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Syed Ainul Hasan Sahab, I am very happy that once again we have invited Professor Deepak Kumar Sahab, and he has agreed to be keynote address of this workshop. Equally, we are lucky that Professor Imtiaz Hasnain Sahab has also joined, and Dr. Paul, Director of Indian Institute of Dalit Studies from New Delhi, is with us with a lot more ideas to be shared with our participants. This topic, measuring social exclusion, discrimination and inequality, is very important as far as research methodologies to deal with this particular area of studies is concerned. And this workshop is a wonderful example of collaboration that we can see that MANUU is collaborating on one hand with Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, New Delhi, and on the other hand with Rosa Luxemburg Studies Institute from Germany. I recall the last special lecture that was delivered by Professor Thorat Sahab it was on 14th November at School of Arts and Social Sciences, and his topic was why concern about discrimination and exclusion. There he shared his insights into issues and his vast experiences in dealing with discrimination and exclusion. He also spoke about research methodologies and tools to be adopted to deal with such discrimination and exclusion issues. And thus this workshop. I think this is very important that a good number of participants, around 40 participants from all over India, including 15 our research scholars, are here to discover some and share some experiences and research, especially focus on the research methodology and tools that is to be adopted for dealing researches in these areas. We have a number of resource persons also. They have very specialized experiences. They will certainly guide our research scholars and participants, and I hope that this program, this workshop will go a long way in setting some new researches in this area. Thank you very much. On the behalf of the university, I welcome you all once again to this wonderful workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we do have a very important person among with us. With the permission of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, I wish to introduce the keynote speaker of the inaugural session, Professor Deepak Kumar, who is a professor of History of Science. And many of you must have heard about his writings, contributions, and significance of contribution in the area of history of science. He is also associated with the Maulana Azad National Urdu University as honorary professor in the Department of History. Sir has always been very gracious to come and encourage the all academic and very important occasions. So with due respect, I request Professor Deepak Kumar to deliver his address.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sahab, Registrar Ishtiyaq Sahab, Dr. G.C. Pal, इम्तियाज़ साहब और हमारे बेहद अजीज आज़मी साहब जिन्होंने मुझे ये मौका दिया, हमारे सभी दोस्त, हमारे distinguished participants and young friends, बहुत शुक्रिया। मैं आपके सामने खड़ा हूँ इस वजह से नहीं कि मेरी कोई ख़ास पकड़ है इस थीम पे, but as a student of history and as a citizen growing in independent India, बहुत कुछ देखने का मौका मिला पिछले 50-60 सालों में। और इसमें ये कुछ जो अल्फाज हैं ये बड़े सिग्निफिकेंट हैं, इनके साथ शायद हम पले बढ़े भी। When we talked about discrimination, when we talked about inequality, and one word which I thought should have been mentioned here is equity. Equity. Exclusion तो खैर है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं। When we look at our historical past, even in terms of philosophical understanding, we know that discrimination exists. I don't want to justify it, but we are humans. बायसेस होते, मालिक की नज़र में नहीं है, उसकी तो रहमत सब जगह है, वहाँ कोई डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं। और दिस इज रिकग्नाइज्ड इन ऑल philosophical systems which we have inherited, Sanatan, Islam, Christianity, everywhere we know that we are imperfect. We are humans. Biases hote. In fact, right from childhood, the way education is imparted, that education creates certain boundaries, makes us alive of certain boundaries. Boundary of family, culture, society. आजकल नेशन बड़ा चल रहा है, नेशनलिज्म, इस किस्म की चीज़ें बन। लेकिन इल्म का, एजुकेशन का असली मज़ा वो है जब एक वक्त आए जब वो बाउंड्रीज मेल्ट करें, बाउंड्रीज ख़त्म हो। जब तक बाउंड्रीज रहेगी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन रहेगा। हमें कोशिश ये होनी चाहिए कि कैसे इसको कम किया जाए। बाउंड्रीज कम किए जाए, और ऐसी कोशिश हमारे यहाँ बराबर रही। हजारों साल से ऐसी कोशिशें रही। आप सनातन की बात करें तो हमने शुरुआत में ऋग्वेद में, हालांकि पुरुष सूक्त में ये बात कही गई कि 4 डिवीजन हैं, समवन कम्स आउट ऑफ द हेड, हैंड, and the feet and so forth, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी ये भी कहा गया कि नहीं, एक ही फैमिली में all kinds of people can exist. One is a preacher, one is a teacher, another is grinding corn, and another third person is doing something else. Division of labor. And so you have all kinds of instances. And there was some kind of harmony. Even if we stand divided, there are enormous possibilities of harmony, of working together. It was there in ancient past. Then comes the question of, which is the focus of this seminar, measurement. अब देखिए, हिसाब किताब, जोड़ घटाव, वो तो क़यामत के दिन होगा ही, लेकिन हम भी करते रहते हैं कुछ न कुछ। और ये जोड़ घटाव की भी शुरुआत बहुत पुरानी है। स्टैटिस्टिक्स आप आज बात करते हैं, वैदिक पीरियड, यू हैव ए टर्म कॉल्ड शुल्ब सूत्र, वेयर द अल्टर्स हैड टू बी फिक्स्ड, and Vedic altars, and then they would use rope, which was method, rope. It's called sulba. In fact, there are words like parimanagya, one who is specialized in parimana, in measurement. Parimana is measurement. So you have people like, they were called parimanagya. Sulbavid, who is expert in measurement, sulba. उसी से ट्रिगोनोमेट्री निकली, बाद में अलजेब्रा, बहुत सारी चीज़ें निकली। खैर, उसके बाद भी तब कई तरह की कोशिशें हुई कि कैसे हम समाज को ऑर्गेनाइज करें। पेस्टोरल लाइफ है, जब हम हंटर थे तब तो उतनी प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी, लेकिन हम नहीं चाहते कि फिर हम हंटर हो जाएं। ऑर्गेनाइज हुए, पेस्टोरल लाइफ हुआ, सोसाइटीज़ बनी, विलेजेस बने, जनपद, महाजनपद, एम्पायर, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हुई। तो इन दौरान में कोशिश की गई हाउ टू क्रिएट ऑर्डर। हियर द क्वेश्चन कम्स ऑफ नेचर वर्सेस कल्चर। नेचर में डिसऑर्डर आपको लगता है कि भाई सब चीज़ें अलग अलग है, लेकिन उसके अंदर भी ऑर्डर है, ऐसी बात नहीं। क्रिएशन, नेचर में ऑर्डर भी है, डिसऑर्डर भी, आप दोनों चीज़ देख रहे हैं। हमारे एंशिएंट थिंकर्स ने, ऋषियों ने एक और शब्द कहा, भेद। संस्कृत में एक बहुत प्रोमिनेंट शब्द है यह, भेद। कई तरह के भेद हैं, जहाँ भेद होगा वहाँ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होगा। और उनसे ये पूछा गया कि भाई कैसे इसको ट्रांसेंड करें, हाउ टू ट्रांसेंड डिवीजन। भेद इज डिवीजन। You ask some people, in Sanatan people, look, there are so many types of trees, so many types of human faces, human beings. We all are different. So let us accept this difference. Let us accept Veda. First Veda. That is how Varnashram Dharma comes. This is what Manusmriti is. Talks of Veda. And then they argued that from Veda, we will go to Abheda, which is Agye, Abheda, unknowable, indivisible, and so forth. But first you begin with Veda. There were opposition to it also. This is what Buddhism comes, Jainism comes, and later Islam comes. In Islam, the beauty is this is probably the first very organized effort to ensure equality. Bhed nahi, abhed. Straight. Abhed. Ye iski beauty thi, and that is one of the reasons why Islam grew so fast. It's wrong to think it grew because of the sword. No. grew so fast and quickly replaced Buddhism. Buddhism already didn't differentiate. Buddhism में discrimination नहीं है, वो भेद नहीं है वहाँ. There is no infinite God, no Jannat, Dozak, nothing of the thing. So most of Central Asia you will see, which were Buddhist, Kanishka, turned to Islam. Southeast Asia took to Islam. Western Punjab, Eastern Bengal, which were Buddhists. But certain parts of our country, especially Ganga Jamuna area, which we know, southern part also, remained rooted to the tradition of Brahmanical philosophy, which dwelt upon Veda. Discrimination आ गया. Discrimination को हमने natural कहा. बहस होगा. ब्राह्मण है, बड़ी खूबसूरत एक उपनिषद है, क्या बताऊं आपको. उसमें वो सत्यकाम. There is a boy, 8-year-old boy, who goes to a Gurukula. The teacher asks, which caste you come from? Who are you? Satyakam says, sir, I don't know. Who is your father? What is your father's name? We still want it. Na? अभी भी तो कहते नाम लिखाते बाप के नाम से होता और उसके सरनेम से आप फंस जाते. आपका डिसीजन नहीं है कि आप क्या हैं. The child never decides. We impose ourselves, whatever reason. So Satyakam said, I don't know. Then he said, okay, you go ask your mother, who is your father? Mother, he asked. Mother said, look, she was very truthful. You know, in many societies, truth is given the maximum importance, premium. सत्य, इसका नाम ही सत्यकाम रखा गया. माँ ने कहा, मुझे याद नहीं है बेटा, क्योंकि उस दौरान जहाँ मैं काम करती थी वहाँ मुझे कई पुरुषों के साथ सोना पड़ता था. वो सराय में काम करती थी. ठीक, तुम किसके बेटे हो तो मुझे पता ही नहीं, बाप का नहीं पता. सो तुम जाओ अपने टीचर को ये बता दो कि तुम जबाला के बेटे हो. जबाला माँ का नाम था. तुम्हारा नाम सत्यकाम जबाला है. यू गो टेल दैट. द टीचर ही वेंट सेड, बच्चा तो झूठ नहीं बोलेगा ना. टिल 10 years दे डोंट लाई, यू नो. वी टीच देम हाउ टू लाई एंड कंसील. उसने कहा, मैं तो, मेरे बाप का पता नहीं है. मेरी माँ ने कहा सत्यकाम जबाला. Teacher immediately perceived that this boy is very bright, strong, and he tells truth. He has the power to tell truth. But still immediately polished it, saying, oh, you are speaking truth. That means you must be son of a Brahmin. Given admission. So even truth comes under discrimination. And this is known as Jabala Upanishad. Satyakam Jabala Upanishad. It's part of our tradition, inheritance. So discrimination immediately comes. तुम ऐसे हो, फलाने के हो तो अच्छे हो. अभी भी कहा जाता है भैया आप अशराफ हैं, नहीं हैं. तो ये बातें जो है हमारे, ये इसी वजह से हमारे साइकोलॉजी और सोशियोलॉजी के जो दोस्त हैं वो इन सभी चीज़ों पे ज़्यादा काम करते हैं. अच्छा करते हैं, क्योंकि हमें पता चलता है कि a student of history has a role to play, or philosophy also has a role to play, because we can cull out instances from our historical past. Why discrimination came and how to control it. You can't eliminate. Sir, believe it, you can't eliminate, because हम खुदा तो हो ही नहीं सकते ना. हम तो हैं इंसान, कुछ तो गड़बड़ करेंगे, कुछ बायसेस होंगे, मेरे अंदर भी है. अब इसमें फ़र्क दो किस्म का है. एक है स्ट्रक्चरल डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, दूसरा है नॉन स्ट्रक्चरल डिफरेंशिएशन. स्ट्रक्चरल जो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है वो ज़रा ख़तरनाक है. अगर हम ये कह दें कि भाई हम तो आपको कपड़े से पहचानते हैं, ये स्ट्रक्चरल हुआ, ये फासिज्म है. हाँ, यह गलत है. नॉन स्ट्रक्चरल में होता है कि हल्के फुल्के बायस आते हैं. भाई मैं JNU का हूँ, थोड़ी मेरी हो गई. देखिए हमारे दोस्त जिसे पॉल ने कहा ना, आप हमारे भाई हैं. ये हमारा अपनापन जो है यह भी एक किस्म का आता है बिकॉज ऑफ यू नो आवर ह्यूमन इंस्टिंक्ट. ह्यूमन तो अनस्ट्रक्चरल को आप हैंडल कर सकते हैं. स्ट्रक्चरल इज ऑफुल, उसके लिए उसके खिलाफ जो है सो ज़रूर स्ट्रगल होनी चाहिए। कई तरीके हैं मेजरमेंट के, भी कई तरीके हैं इनके इसको समझने के कि इनइक्वलिटी को कैसे कम किया जाए। एक बहुत सुंदर अल्फाज है वही इक्विटी। इनइक्वलिटी रहेगी, टोटल इक्वलिटी इज नॉट पॉसिबल। वो एक किस्म का राम राज्य है, एक किस्म का चीज़ है जो कि आप समझते कि होना चाहिए, वो है नहीं। लेकिन उसके अंदर इक्विटी, हाउ डू वी इंट्रोड्यूस इक्विटी? इज पॉसिबल। इक्विटी इज व्हेन वी अलाउ द बाउंड्रीज टू मेल्ट एंड we give them the opportunity, the others the opportunity to come up. Equity is oriented towards opportunity. Opportunity में कमी नहीं होनी चाहिए, वो deny नहीं करना चाहिए. It is also, equity is associated with what you may call adl, justice. जहाँ अदल होगा वहाँ equity होगी. अगर अदल ख़त्म हुआ, अच्छा जहाँ इल्म होगा वहीं अदल भी होगा. इसलिए रूट बेसिक चीज जो है वो इल्म है. इल्म से ही बाउंड्री कटेगी, इल्म से ही अदल के प्रति आपका वो कमिटमेंट बढ़ेगा, और इस तरह से आप कोशिश कर सकेंगे कि इसको इनइक्वलिटी को कम करें. भाई चांद को आप पृथ्वी पे नहीं ला सकते, अब जाने लग गए हैं लोग, अलग बात है. बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जो नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन कोशिश करने से हम अपने अंदर हैप्पीनेस, ग्रेटेस्ट गुड ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट नंबर, जो बेंथामाइट फिलॉसफी है, इनइक्वलिटी को लोअर कर सकते हैं, मोर हैप्पीनेस इंश्योर कर सकते, डेमोक्रेटिक स्पिरिट फोस्टर कर सकते. ये सारी चीज़ें पॉसिबल है इफ़ वी कैन यूज़ इल्म, नॉलेज प्रॉपरली. मेजरमेंट का जहाँ तक सवाल है, मेजरमेंट के कई तरीके हमारे साइकोलॉजिस्ट, स्टैटिस्टिशियंस दोस्तों ने बनाए हैं. वो एक्सियोमेटिक है, नॉर्मल है, दिस है. दीज आर द टेक्निकल टर्म्स विच यू विल बी एक्सपोज टू दिस आफ्टरनून एंड मे बी टुमारो. मेजरमेंट का कोई भी तरीका आप लगा लें, आपको ये ज़रूरी है कि आपके अंदर जो है वो मोटिव कैसा है. मोटिव प्योर होगा तो मेजरमेंट सही होगा. मोटिव में इम्प्योरिटी होगी तो मेजरमेंट में प्रॉब्लम होगी. क्योंकि मेजरमेंट इज ए टूल विच यू कैन ऑलवेज कट टू सूट योर इंस्ट्रेंट्स. सेंसस फॉर एग्जाम्पल, बहुत किस्म के पिछले 7-8 साल से कई किस्म के जो होते हैं, जो NSS डेटा है और स्टैटिस्टिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, वो करते हैं. लेकिन अगर वहाँ पे इम्प्योरिटी आ गई, अगर गवाही में गड़बड़ हो गई, तो काजी क्या करेगा? गवाही स्पूरियस तो जो है जजमेंट स्पूरियस हो जाए, जजमेंट भी ख़राब हो जाएगा. मेजरमेंट में बहुत ज़रूरी है मोटिव का रहना, प्योरिटी ऑफ मोटिव टू इंश्योर. दैट ऑल्सो इज ए प्रॉब्लमेटिक टर्म, बट आई वुड सजेस्ट दैट वी शुड फर्स्ट लुक एट द मोटिव एंड देन प्रिपेयर द मेजरमेंट. मोटिव हैज़ टू बी ग्रेटेस्ट गुड ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट नंबर. मोटिव सर्वोदय का होना चाहिए, तभी आप उसका कोई तरीका करें. एंड देन देयर शुड बी द पावर, द स्ट्रेंथ टू इम्प्लीमेंट दोज what you have found out of the measurement, what you have found from the whole exercise of measurement. वो implement भी होना चाहिए. Problems should always be there. Without problem there is no history. Without problem there is no society. Without problem there is no existence. So long as we are alive, we must learn to struggle. This is what Ambedkar said. Educate and struggle. दोनों चीज़ें, इल्म भी है और जुनून भी है. तो हमने यहाँ पे जो बातें की, ये 3 चीज़ें जो है वो हमारे लिए उसको कहेंगे पर्पस है, लेकिन उसको पाने के लिए आपको जो ज़रूरी है वो है इल्म एंड प्यूरिटी, ओपननेस टू एक्सेप्ट अदर्स। इम्तियाज़ साहब ने अदरिंग की बात की थी, वो एक्सेप्ट करना कि डॉग इज़ ए फूड, ये तो भाई इल्म से ही होगा ना। ऐसे तो आप पहले तो आप हंस देंगे, लेकिन कोशिश होनी चाहिए थी टीचर की तरफ से कि बच्चों को समझाया जाए कि दिस इज़ अनदर डे। वो अगर हम करते रहेंगे तो डेफिनेटली इनइक्वालिटी विल रिड्यूस्ड, द डिस्क्रिमिनेशन वुड कम डाउन, especially structural discrimination must be fought properly, must be contested. Subtle discrimination may continue, but it can be controlled and limited through proper education, which I call ilm. ilm को हम मतलब इतना खूबसूरत है ये शब्द कि इसको ट्रांसलेट करना मुश्किल है। अंग्रेज़ी में एजुकेशन भी इल्म नहीं है, इल्म उससे भी ऊंची चीज़ है, एजुकेशन से भी ऊंची चीज़ है। तो इसके तरह से आप जैसे सोचें, मुझे माफ़ कीजिएगा कि मैंने कई सारी बातें की जो कि खाली एक्सपीरियंस या जो भी कह लीजिए थोड़ी इनकोहेरेंट लगी होगी, उसके लिए मैं माफ़ी चाहता हूँ। लेकिन ये थीम बहुत खूब अच्छा है, इस पे ज़रूर सोचिए। और ये ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो आपके दिल में उतरनी चाहिए, जो खाली समाज की बातें, अगर इफ़ द इंडिविजुअल चेंजेस देन ओनली द सोसाइटी विल चेंज। यू नीड द स्पिरिट ऑफ महात्मा फूले। थैंक यू वेरी मच। शुक्रिया।
Thank you so much, sir. It was really illuminating and informative. Definitely, discrimination has multiple facets, are diverse in nature, and its roots are not seen. And measurement of discrimination is very difficult for many of us. In fact, discrimination is something which not only violates, as we know, the basic human fundamental rights, but it also reduces the stamina and then resources which is there in the human populations, and discrimination ultimately ends up reducing the growth of any society and nations. That is very important to us, and purely for that purpose, many of the social scientists have engaged themselves with studying discrimination and trying to measure discrimination. Measuring is most difficult task of discriminations, and that is always challenged. With this, we have come to the moment that before I invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, I also wish to share with Sir that we'll be having next 3 days 11 technical sessions on various themes of discrimination and inequality. People from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, University of Hyderabad, IFLU, various other universities from Telangana, and our own faculty from Maulana National Urdu University will be resource persons in all those technical sessions, including the expert and many of the expert and resource persons from IIDS and RLS. I again thank and mention Dr. Tawqir Ali Sabri for his all support in organizing this event, along with Dr. Mishra and Dr. Vinod Kumar Misra, who is sitting in the front. Thank you, Dr. Vinod, for giving all the freedom and trusting the center for organizing this event. With this, I also wish to mention Professor Zainuddin Sahab, who has come from Aligarh Muslim University. I could not see him in the morning. He is there before us. I also welcome him in this session. And now the time has come to request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Syed Ainul Hasan Sahab, to give his presidential remarks. Sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Babihi Nasta'een. Distinguished speakers, guests, colleagues, girls and boys. Now you were listening to our honorable speakers, Professor Deepak Kumar, Professor Imtiaz Hasnain, Dr. Paul, and of course from our side, Registrar and Professor Rafiullah. Now, this campus is highly conducive in terms of discussion and debate on exclusion and inclusion, because self-introspection is also important. And this discrimination is coming from all status, all groups, without any discrimination, from top to bottom. How to measure it and how to judge, on what basis? We say historically, okay, historically. But is it time to set the clock right? Well, you can have a mirror of past, present, future, but still remedy is not there. Social exclusion. Social exclusion is what? You have to judge every society on the basis of their performances. India is too diverse and too big. How to measure? You will find places quite different from each other. It's not possible. And then you say politically. Well, you know, politically every state, every city rather, you see, I can say every area, even a small town, you have a different kind of settlement there, attitude. And you are measuring on the basis of the various groups. That look, here is a group supporting us, here is a group not supporting. Now, entire political system is such where, you know, there is hardly any parameter to judge. Who is who? And what's the remedy? And then comes religiously. Do we have really a room to judge on the basis of our religious line? Here we find total discrimination. And I am glad that somebody talked about knowledge and the branches of knowledge, blah, blah. I am a knowledgeable person. On what basis? You should measure yourself first. To what extent you are a knowledgeable person? And Baqaul Sadi, Sadi once said, that however much you acquire knowledge, if you don't put it into practice, you shall remain ignorant. This ignorance, it should be removed from the hearts and minds of the people. Why there is ignorance? And then in same Gulistan, Sadi says, कि आलिम भी अमल बच्चे में अनाथ जवाब उमद बेजंबूर भी असल. A knowledgeable person without amal, without action, how does he resemble? And then the answer comes to a bee without honey. A bee without honey. You acquire knowledge, but without any practice, it's gone useless, in vain. It has no meaning at all. So exclusion and inclusion. We have layers and layers there, reservations, 15%, 7.5%, and then you say 27%, and then 10%. The percentage you can count. This is the percentage. But is it going to serve the purpose? And very rightly Professor Deepak Kumar points out that look, we have to see all these things through our heart and mind in the real sense. And then what we see? And luckily, let me also tell you, this in this university, particularly in MANUU, what we have been doing here, this is the real place where you can see we are removing to the extent possible. We are trying to remove disparities. Disparities in terms of appointments, disparities in terms of admissions, disparity in terms of accommodation. We are not measuring their background. Though there are students, large number of students coming from highly marginalized sections of the society. But do we have any criteria on the basis of which we could say that, look, this person belongs to the highly marginalized section? Because there is so much intermingling. This is called the interwoven society. And over a period of 1 year, registrar is sitting here, he can correct me. Over a period of 1 year, we have tried our level best to fill up the vacant, especially the reserved positions in this university. Vacant reserved positions. And the number is more than 3 dozen. Do you realize that someone sitting by your side is under this category? This is called exclusion. And I believe that this campus will continue this practice. Because we don't ask the person, the background, the caste, creed, culture, religion, all these things, no matter. Same oxygen everyone is inhaling. All of us are inhaling the same oxygen. We are sharing, and therefore we should share our ideas, thoughts. And this is the best place, I am telling you. This is the best place. Still, MANUU is the best place to judge. And I congratulate the organizers of this workshop that they have chosen this campus. Once Umar Khayyam said, where is the sin? Said, na kar de gunah dar jahan kis begu. Tell me, who is in this world who has not committed a sin, a mistake? One kas ke gunah na kar de chun zis begu. How can one survive without committing mistake? Man is made for making mistakes. Man bad kunamo to bad mukafat dehi. When I commit a mistake, you punish me. You make me liable to punishment. And then, when you are the judge, and I am the culprit, both of us are committing mistakes. And then, what is difference between you and I? This is the measure on the basis of which you can judge the entire society, entire attitude of the society. Thanks to Allama Iqbal, who says, एक ही सफ में खड़े हो गए महमूद और अयाज, न कोई बंदा रहा और न कोई बंदाबाज. Only don't perceive it as a couplet, perceive it as a measurement, and measure yourself, measure the society, invite people to participate in this deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for encouraging and giving a broad understanding about discrimination. Now, with this, we come to the point to conclude the session. Before that, I request Dr. Muhammad Kareem, Research Assistant at the Center, to propose formal vote of thanks.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to everyone. With the permission of Chair, I would like to say a vote of thanks, sir. On behalf of the CSEP and collaborative organization, I am very much thankful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor to accept agreed preside over today's inaugural session. Once again, thank you very much, sir. My sincere thanks to the respected registrar, sir, प्रोफेसर इश्तियाक अहमद सर. सर का ताउन हमको बहुत ज़्यादा रहा. एक्चुअली ये वर्कशॉप होने की उम्मीद बहुत कम थे. वीसी साहब, रजिस्ट्रार साहब का इंकरेजमेंट था, क्योंकि अदर शेड्यूल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट थे, हमको अकोमोडेशन वो ज़रूरत थी. लेकिन फिर भी टॉपिक देखकर ये एकेडमिक प्रोग्राम के लिए वीसी साहब, रजिस्ट्रार साहब, डायरेक्टर साहब को कहा कि नहीं, गो हेड. बेहद शुक्रिया सर. मैं दीपक कुमार साहब का शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ, क्योंकि सर को उस्मान यूनिवर्सिटी में बहुत बिजी शेड्यूल था, उसके बावजूद भी सर एग्री किए और वंडरफुल लेक्चर था सर का. बेहद शुक्रिया सर. प्रोफेसर इम्तियाज़ हसनैन साहब का भी शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ. साहब ने एक लिंग्विस्टिक नए टॉपिक पे हमारे सोशल एक्सक्लूजन पे बताया सर. सर यहाँ पे तेलंगाना में भी लिंग्विस्टिक का प्रॉब्लम था. यहाँ पे एक प्रोफेसर जयदीप तिरमल सर है, 1 डिकेड से काम किए. उन्होंने एक ट्राइबल लैंग्वेज को इन्वेंट किया, तो हर जगह प्रॉब्लम था. यहाँ पे तेलंगाना में नया एक लैंग्वेज, गोंडी लैंग्वेज इन्वेंट किया प्रोफेसर जयदीप तिरमल सर. आपका टॉपिक बहुत अच्छा था सर. शुक्रिया, बेहद शुक्रिया साहब. मैं जीसी पॉल साहब का भी शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ. विनय शर्मा जी है, हमको जो स्पॉन्सर कर रहे हैं, साबरी साहब है, और जो भी प्रोग्राम में मदद किए उनका बेहद शुक्रिया. और हमारे जो स्टेट सेक्शन है, हार्टिकल्चर है, इंस्ट्रक्शनल मीडिया सेंटर है, सभी का ताउन रहा. मैं सबको बेहद शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ. और जो भी पार्टिसिपेंट है, पर्टिकुलरली डीन्स, वेरियस स्कूल्स, हेड्स, डायरेक्टर्स, अपना कीमती वक्त देकर यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट रहे, आप सबका बेहद शुक्रिया. थैंक यू वेरी मच. चाय का इंतज़ाम किया गया है. शुक्रिया, बेहद शुक्रिया.
Thank you, Karim. Now we'll have national anthem. Please, everyone, apprise.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे, भारत भाग्य विधाता. पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा, द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा, उच्छल जलधि तरंगा. तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा. जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे, भारत भाग्य विधाता. जय हे, जय हे, जय हे, जय 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 हे.
Thank you.